Hello and welcome to another video on Web 101, and in today's video we're going to be doing the CSS to the actual login system that we've been building for the past two videos. Obviously the last two videos have not been so great, they've been quite long, but obviously see, I'm here trying to go through every single step of the way from start to finish, from building the HTML to the CSS, the JavaScript to the PHP on the back end, to even the SQL on the MySQL database, which you're going to use with PHPMyAdmin. We will be using MySQL on the back end for that database stuff, as I just mentioned. PHP, as I mentioned before, but hence the reason for this tutorial, because we're going to make a login system. But for now, we're going to have a look at the CSS. There may be two parts to this CSS, because obviously it depends on how easily I can get this sorted out. But so I'm gonna go through of how I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna have a little go. But let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, which is what I have tried, doing here, or what I've done already myself, just as a little test. So what we want to do is we want to first we want to load up that page. Okay, so we are up here, and now as you can see, there's two extra things here for to obviously go on the sign up page and go on the login page. So to do that, what we need to do is, if we head over to the HTML side, we can then add another div and say don't have an account, then add a link to it with an ID of go to sign up, with sign up here for that link, and then follow the same here for go to login and login here. Obviously, I forgot to put that in the last video, or in the very first initial video, in the last video where I did the HTML. But obviously, I was stupid. I didn't put it in. So I thought, I'll just put it in now. And then I forgot, okay, I could have put it in the next video. I could have done it now, but obviously, and obviously, what do you know? I don't even know anymore. I could have done it, but I didn't. Okay, I just didn't. So let's get started. So not let's get started. Let's continue, because So this is the two things you need to add in. And it should look like something like this, which is what we're looking for quite at right this moment. Okay. Now another thing. So if we go into tools, if we go to deployment, we can go to configuration. So I may or may not have mentioned this before, but if you've done something like me where you've set up a local server, you can add a mounting or a deployment so that you can mount to a local server or to an FTP, FTPS, whatever one you want to do. So if you want to do something, let me just try something out. But obviously we don't want this. What we want to do a local or mounted folder. But if you have an online server, if you've got like a hosting provider that you're using for this, then obviously go ahead and do that. But if you want to do that, then it's a simple process in PHP Storm. So it should be online hosting, and then obviously put in your hosting provider, so ftp.mydomainname.com, and then it'd be cool username or something like that, whatever username is. This is my password. Yay! Test this connection, make sure it works. Well, obviously this is going to fail. Okay, this is going to fail. Then you put in the deployment path, which is just that, and then you're good to go. The same procedure applies to FTPS and SFTP, but obviously something like SFTP requires an SSH configuration, which you can do over here, which is basically which is like not really. And then FTPS is something similar as well, but instead it just uses secure FTP protocol. But for this, what we're going to do is we are going to be using a local mounted folder, which is what I have, which is what I've been using. So which would be, so what we do is you specify the folder where it is. So if you're on Windows, it'd be in C, xampp or wamp /www, or if you're on Linux like me or Manjaro specifically, then it might be something like slv /http, or it might be var www. So you can decide, and then the deployment paths are the same. Now you might get, and also your server is localhost, but saying that, you might get some errors with your server, and if that's the case, and it fails to deploy, then it means you need to actually set up. Then you need to make sure that if you're on Linux, you need to give it permission so that you can so that you as a user can write to it, not as sudo, you don't need to be, so that you don't need to be root to do that, which is quite simple to do if you just use chmod. I think chmod, or you can either do it. I think you can do it from your file manager, I suppose, but doesn't really matter. Not really the end of the world. Okay, so once you've got that set up, you want to get something else set up as well. So you want to get up a sync setup set up. Now this is useful if you want to see your changes in real time, so that you can actually see what it's going to look like, end results, yada yada, at the same time you do your HTML and your CSS. So this is what I've done. I am using browser sync to do that, and if you want to install browser sync, let's just see. If you want to install browser sync, if you head over to the terminal, if you head over to the terminal at the window at the bottom, and first of all, you need to have Node installed, Node.js. You can learn how to install Node in your own time. Just Google Node.js or something, and you should be able to follow the instructions online for your desired operating system. If it's Windows or Mac, it's just a click, 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 done. If you're Windows, you can use Chocolatey to do that as well. But obviously, if you're on Linux like me, you can just look up, or if you're using an Arch-based distro, you can just look up a yay node. Oh wait, you can just look up yay Node.js, I think. Okay, maybe it's not there. Sorry. I don't see it there. I can't remember how I installed it. I can't remember how I installed it. But after you've got it installed, it should be just npm install sync browser sync. Yeah, and it should go ahead to install that for you. But obviously, sorry, not browser sync. You want to do npm install -g, because that way it's global, not just local for this project. Because obviously, and again, my bad. If you're on Linux, you want to add a sudo to it too. pass it in, and then do it because you're trying to access the directory which is owned by this root, the admin basically. And yeah, there you go. Browser sync is installed. Well, I already have it installed anyways. Then you can do something like this, where if you make it a proxy to localhost and start it like this, and then put another files parameter, which then specify this, where what it does is it looks for any changes in any files and then updates the data, then updates the actual website. Usually people do for CSS because obviously HTML doesn't really update that often, so there's not really much point to do that. But obviously where we need to see everything, so I want to see everything, so including JavaScript as well, so you might as well just do it. So once we've got that set up, we can then start actually doing the CSS, which is what we actually came here for. So in terms of colors, okay, you want to think about color schemes. So I use a website called coolers.co. Now coolers.co is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best. Like, it is one of the best things that you can use. If you like a color scheme, okay, I don't want this. Don't want this ad. But if you like this color scheme, you can pick it. But on the other hand, you can keep clicking and clicking and clicking to get a wide variety of colors. Pick one you like and stick with it. Like, let's just see. Well, you see, there's so many to choose from. You know what? Let me think of a color that I like. Ooh, you know what? I like this color. So I like that color here, and I also like this color. So let me lock both of these colors. But you know what? I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna change the shade a little bit just to bring it down, just a tone. And then now I can actually go ahead to pick the other three colors. You know what? That actually looks pretty good, because the bright colors complement the bright colors kind of complement the dark colors. Don't forget, you can still use the shades of grey, and you can still use black and white. This is just a standard color set which you can just pick out. But you can go ahead to pick out any kind of colors you want. And this will generate them for infinity, basically. So there's nothing really you have to worry about. You can even add some more shades in between if you want, to give it a bit more of a feel. Now here's a bigger color scheme, whereas see, this could actually quite work. But it really depends on what you want. But for the sake of the tutorial, I have already gone ahead to choose my colors. All these colors, I might put them in the link in the description if you want to use the same colors. I might put them in the description or something if you want to use the colors. But at the same time, I might actually upload the whole project so far on GitHub and link that right now on GitHub, so that you can download it and follow it through. Because obviously, these tutorials are for you to use and for you to earn and understand how to develop like back-end applications using PHP, as well as bringing it together with the front end. So you can take that code, and I'm not gonna stop you from doing that, because obviously in the end, if you're here watching this tutorial and then you find out there's a GitHub page and you go and download it without following the tutorial, it's your loss. Okay, it's generally your loss. So that's all I can say. Obviously, I'm not going to complain that someone went and downloaded my code, rather than following it through and then didn't learn anything, because then obviously in that case I've just, not saying I wasted my time, it's just a waste of your time really, because obviously you're just going to go through with it and then be like, look, this is cool, look I made this thing, and bam, then it's just pointless. But anyways, let's just make sure that we are good to go. But now to the actual CSS side, which is what we wanted to do here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to actually center both the HTML and want to center the actual HTML and CSS put together. We're going to center this just in the center so that we can actually, see it in the center. So the way to do that would be, first of all, we can already see there's a little gap. We can already see there's like a teeny tiny gap between the actual text and the border. So let's go ahead and get rid of that first. So if you want to go and do that, or actually, so before we do that, let's actually run this sync server. So if you right click on PHP Storm, you can do that here. You can make it a sync server like a bash file if you want next, or I think you can make it a CMD file on Windows, but obviously on Mac as well you can make it a bash file. But on Windows, I'm not too sure whether you can do this, but I'm sure you can make it a batch file and then run it through here. But what we're going to do is, if we go into, you can actually run it, or you can edit it. In my case, I've already made it, so it's right there. But what we're going to do is, if we just click the start button, it's now going to run it, and it's going to open it up in localhost 3000, which is the site that we're on. Okay, so now if I make some changes to the CSS, it's going to start working. So what we want to do is we want to make add HTML, a body, and then first what we want to do is we're going to add a margin of 0. And if you save already, it's automatically reloaded. That's the first thing we want to do. Then we want to specify a height of 100%, because obviously for it to be in the center, we need to specify a height so that it knows where in the center we want it to be. Now, this can be a bit odd for some people, because you're thinking of why set the height, because CSS is dynamic. Okay, it's kind of dynamic. It doesn't know that the height of something is 100% unless you specify it. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the background to be so the color, which is one of these. And to do that, you need to basically specify a var, for meaning variable, and in there what we're going to do is we're going to go to and specify light. So see, now it's already starting to come together, but unless you wait, let me just see light 2. Much better. Okay, then what we're going to do is we are going to go and we're going to set a font family, fonts for this as well. That's exactly what we want. See, already the fonts is looking a lot nicer. It's obviously, it's not the best font that you can choose. There's obviously other fonts you can choose from the internet to make it look nicer. But for now, this is as good as this is. For now, this is pretty good. Then we want to make a. So now to properly center it, you want to do display flex, justify content center, align the items in the center. You want to do flex direction and make it center. A column. And then again, we want to make the height 100%. Just so we're specifying that again. Obviously, I don't know if this is needed, but let me just see if we don't need that. Aha! See, we do, because just so that it specifies the height and then it goes in the center, because this height specifies the height of the whole body, but we want to specify the height of the actual login system itself, which is of course this. Because obviously, see, I don't know why, but this just works. Okay, it just seems to work. It just seems to work. So then we can set the padding and things. Then we can set up the actual the login and the sign up forms itself, the individual elements. So to do that, what we want to do is, if we go into a new one, I want to do .login .sign up, and then what we want to do is we want to say, so the way, because let me just make a padding of 15%, and then what we want to do is we want to say border radius. No. Give it a border radius of, let's just say 25%, 25%, 25 pixels, not 25%, I'm stupid. And then what we want to do is give it a background of white for now. See, already coming together. Actually, it's not. We want to do is going to make everything 15% for now, and only the first one. Make only the top one 10%. And you'll see that in a second, because what we also want to do is we want to make sign up. You just want to do something like this. You want to say, you want to do that, because now that this is in the center, now that's the only thing we can see. So now the distance between this and this is approximately similar, but it looks good that way. It just is pleasing. It just is aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. Okay, then what we can do is we can now actually start. Let's just see. We can start. I think we can start with the actual inputs, the form field and the input fields. We can forget the labels for now, because the labels don't really need anything. Need anything really. The labels are just there for so you know what to put in. Although yes, you can use placeholders as well, but labels just labels are just better for screen reader users, people that are blind. But obviously that's not that's just a plus point really here, because this is just merely a tutorial. So we go to the form field. I want to do let's just see, input field. Sweet. Now in here, what we want to do is we want to do a width of 100%. And you want to do a padding of 10 pixels. And you want to do 10 pixels by 20 pixels. And then what you want to do is you want to do a margin of 8 pixels, 8 pixels and 0. And then you also wanted to display block. Display block. The radius, of, again, 15 pixels. 15 pixels rather than 25, because obviously this is just a form field. Let's just see. How does that look now? How does that looking now? Ah, see, looking a lot better. Already, it's looking a lot better. Okay, now, if you want to give it a border of 1 pixels, solid whites. You might be wondering why white. Because it's gonna look very, very good. Because that way you don't see any borders. Because now you add a background to it. Okay, actually wait. Yeah, you want. Add a background to it and make it again light 2. And make it a color of just var dark. Now, if this wasn't there, if this wasn't the case, it would look like this. And that, to me, it looks ugly. And that, to me, that looks ugly. Now, we're coming together. Because see, now it's come together. That should be up there rather, because that's to do with that. So now what we can also do is we can go here and we can now give the accents for the hovering and the focusing. So if we do, again, form field dot input field dot hover, and we can do dot form field dot input field slash focus, and we can give it a border 1 pixels solid, and we can give it the accent 2. Because now, see, now the accent is looking pretty good in my opinion. It's a very subtle accent that you can see, just to give it a nice little touch, you know. If you go to, we can also do for container, we can do dot container. So now what we want to do is we want to actually make the submit button as well. We want to style that submit button. So if we go to container and we do container, and now do see. Now for the submit button, we have not put in any type of ID or class for it. So what we can do now is we're gonna do using the selector, CSS selector, or using the attribute. So what we can do is we can do type is equal to submit. Now when the type is submit, we can go and do background. We can set the background to have, let's just say, accents 2, and then we can say a color of dark. And then what else we want to do? We want to give it a padding. A padding of 12 pixels. And 20 pixels. And we want to give it a margin of 8 pixels by 0. And you want to give it a border of none. Actually, I think the border of none should work here too. Yeah, works there too. Got that right now. Give it a cursor pointer. And then last thing I want to do is want to give it a border radius of 15 pixels again. See, now that's coming together. But the thing with this is that there's no hover. So let's do the same thing again. For this, I'm going to do .container. I'm going to do inputs. Type is equal to submit. I'm going to say dot hover, and then you want to basically grab the same thing. And the same thing for focus. So what you want to do the same thing for focus. Let's just see. Yep. And then you want to do the same thing, and we want to say background. Let's just see. What's the accent color? Let's just try having a little. Let's try having var. Yeah, that don't work. We want something along the lines of accent. Yeah, just for this one, we can just grab this, and then we can paste that right in there. Oh, forgot the hashtag. Okay, now what we can do is if we go here, we can then just bring that down a little bit, somewhere about there, and then let's just I can use that color instead, so which now should work. Oops, that's a bit too extreme. Maybe about there. Yeah, that should be perfect. Let's have a look. That's just perfect. Perfectamundo. Sweet. Now the last thing we need to do is we want to make the actual link. So let's just do that now. Main form a visited, so that when you visit the link, it shouldn't be this colored. We want it to be colored black. And then the last thing we want to do, I think, is change the actual container. Let me try and see what happens if I give the container. The same display flex. So display flex, JCC, line item center, and then FDC. Now that's what I wanted, because we want the actual button in the center, so that when they see it, that's what they kind of see. Now that's what I like. Now, let's just see. How I tick all the boxes? Aha! Forgot to do the sign up here button. So now all we need to do is we go back to the index page. At the very bottom of the page, we want to now link that index.js page. So just like this. Yeah. So now if we go here, so what we want to do is we want to now add an event listener to the click. So we want to do documents dot get element by dot query selector. We do query selector instead, rather. We can just do hashtag go to sign up, and then we can just say dot login dot add event listener. Then we can say click. Let's say click, and you want to give it an event. So just make sure that's correct. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes entirely sense. Make sure that makes entirely sense. Yep, that makes entirely sense now. Because obviously I wanted to make sure that the arrow is there. But obviously it's kind of hidden by that. So we want to then do document.query selector. You want to do hashtag login container, and you want to do dot style dot display, and I set that to none. And we can then grab the whole thing, copy it, paste it in, and then we can set this to block. If we go back to login container, we set this to sign up container. And then now what we can also do is if we grab the whole thing, paste that in again, and we want to go to login this time. And then it should be the other way around. Fingers crossed that this works, because I don't really know. This should work. In theory, it should work. But always, nothing happens. Nothing happens, you know. Nothing happens in theory, so we'll just see. Aha! So it does work. Okay, so yes. Ka-ching. Ka-ching. So it works. Okay, so there's still all the things and bits and bobs in here, and obviously you can't click the sign up form until everything is filled in, and you can't log in until everything is filled in. So same. Blibbity blabbity blibbity blabbity boom. Please fill in this field. Exactly what we want. Okay, now I think that's it for this video, because in the next video we'll be making this transition a hell of a lot smoother. We're going to make it look nice and make it flow, but to do that, that's going to happen in the next video. So yeah, I shall catch you guys in the next video. But for now, stay safe. COVID time, so stay safe. Be happy. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and I will now submit this code to my GitHub page, to a GitHub link, and I'll put that in the description. Thank you very much, and I shall see you guys in the next video.